What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. So yes, you can see Mr. Aliens here. I hope you guys are doing excellent today. And behind me, the television's out of commission today. So we've got my painting of Dennis Rodman right here. He's kind of like an alien. And then we've got the eternal slumber. Let me see, move this over here. Gravestone. Now we've got all the paintings behind us. We've got Mr. Baby Alien over here. We've got meditating, everything Zen Bigfoot over here. And then we've got, of course, we always got a dead kitty over here. Yes. So, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day so far. Today we're going to talk about the potential in the story, this really huge story about the U.S. government participating in the 20 and Back program, utilizing people for this 20 and Back program, and then not compensating them for this. So this is tantamount to human slavery on the government's part. Now, we're also going to get into the potential for what happens after our life, and is it related to what's going on in the 20 and Back program. So I love this shot. He's right here. He's just chilling. He's like, what's up, guys? Okay, so let's get into it. Human trafficking, government, gotta love it, right? So Randy Kramer made a statement on the George Norrie, what was it? It's not Cosmic Disclosure, Beyond Belief. So he made a statement on that show that said that the government is actually human trafficking because they take individuals in the military or civilian and they bring them into this 20 and Back program. Okay, understandable. Maybe some people sign up for that. Maybe they're willing to go fight for their country or their earth or whatever, their planet, their civilization, their family, whatever. But then what they do is mind erase you and bring you back. So Randy Kramer states that he was promised that he was going to get, a payment, a stipend and a payment after this 20 and Back program equivalent to about $1 million, which seems like, an okay sum of money, provided that he was, being taken care of, he was being housed, he was being fed, he was able to travel, he was able to have a love on another planet, have a child on another planet, and then come back home. The problem is that according to Randy, he came back, he was age regressed 20 years, like his standard protocol, and they did not provide him with any money. They mind erased him, mind wiped him, and threw him back into society. So he actually has current legal representation that's going to sue the government to get him his money back, one, and he's okay with signing a non-disclosure agreement. I'm not going to, continue this issue. I'm not going to, go out in the press and, say I want a bunch of money or whatever, or earn the money through the legal system. He feels like he contributed to his country. He was happy to do it. He learned about what he did through the mind regression hypnosis therapy, and he's okay with it. But who's okay with losing 20 years of their life, 20 years of their soul life, physical life, whatever, and not getting compensated for it? That's tantamount to slavery. So it's really interesting because you can think about this all the way up until this point and say, I don't believe you, I don't believe this story, blah, 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 blah. But if you think about this for a second, how are they able to just run these dark black programs and have all these staff and all these people and then not have the money for it, right? Not have the budget for it. Yeah, they have some money in the black budget, but not enough to run a secret space program, run all these different companies, all these different, facilities and all this stuff that they need to create an entire army out in space. So what do? Yeah, they can purchase, goods and services to create these ships, but they still need people to man them and maybe even create them. So what do? Human trafficking. We're going to take somebody we're going to put them into the 20 and back program. We're going to make them work for 20 years, and then we're going to age regress them and mind wipe them and not pay them. Talk about the ultimate racketeering gig you could ever think of. It really blew my mind when I heard this, because I thought to myself, I said, wow, the U.S. government, or maybe it's the world government, has it on lock, man. They have free labor, and then they mind erase everybody so they can't sue them, or they're not going to probably sue them until they go through hypnotic regression, and then they've just got free labor. It's just mind blowing. So that got me thinking too, because there's this second theory that I was thinking about earlier, that a lot of people who have died and come back have stated that they've been given the choice between light, going into the light, and then just staying in this void, or wandering around wherever they want to wander around on the earth. So it got me thinking, because there's this theory that's going around the internet that states that if you go into the light, you will be instantly reincarnated, and the cycle continues. Once you go into the light, it's almost like you're coming out of the birth canal and you're going right into another life. It's just a continual force of nature, and you don't really have a choice about it. There's some people who say, yes, they see their family on the other side, but there's a lot of people who say that the reptilians are basically in control of the earth, and that they're able to make you see what you want to see, even in the afterlife. And they want you to reincarnate so that they continue to manipulate the energy field around Earth. And so they can benefit from you reincarnating. You are property. You are producing the energy. It's almost like the Matrix, right? The humans were producing the energy for the robots. Same kind of scenario for the reptilians. So it made me think. I was like, wow, well, what if you die and you have this great experience? You see all your loved ones, your friends, even your pets, maybe passed on children even, and it's all a lie. What if it's all a lie? I've always thought throughout all my research that everything's great. Everything's going to be perfect on the other side. Everything's going to be wonderful. But what if it's not? That really messed my mind up for a second. And it still is. Because if that's true, they can just make you think that you're having a great time on the other side and send you back. What are you going to do? You're going to come back and be like, hey, man, everything's awesome on the other side. Everything's great. I saw my loved ones. You don't have to worry about dying, da-da-da-da-da. So maybe do a little bit more research. I researched into a military veteran, Daniel Brinkley, who was an atheist and who, I'm not saying you, whatever, but let's not even get into religion. But he didn't believe there was an afterlife. That's the point. Atheists a little bit different. So he didn't believe in an afterlife. He died. He got blown up by being on the phone during a lightning storm, one of the old school plug-in to the wall phones, and he came through the wall and zapped him out of his shoes and hit the ceiling and died, and it went right through his neck, and he died, and he went to the other side, and he saw people who didn't go into the light, and they were, either just upset, pissed off, had a bad time on Earth. They wanted to get back. Maybe they thought they weren't even dead yet. They wanted to come back to Earth and relive that same lifetime, but that wasn't going to happen. He also saw psychopaths, sociopaths, alcoholics, drug dealers, drug addicts, and those people aren't necessarily, bad people, but what he's saying is that people fall into these things and they fall into the negativity, and they can't get out of this spiral, so they're stuck in these spirals. There's a lot of people who are stuck in the spiral of, sexual addiction, and that kind of thing as well, where they're just so focused on having sex, they're not elevating spiritually. People are so focused on drugs and alcohol addiction that they're not elevating spiritually, so they don't want to go into the light. So he says that's exactly where ghosts come from. It's just people that don't want to move on. And it made me think, wow, this guy really has it on lock. He actually understands and saw the whole paranormal paradigm in real life, in real time. And he's died 4 times in total. One is just from the lightning. Another one was from having a heart attack, coming back. And I mean, every time he had an out of body experience, he'd be standing outside of his body looking in while they were doing operations. And the reason I bring this up is because there's so many parallels when it comes to the 20 and back program where they're taking your soul. This is according to Randy Kramer. They actually take your soul, and it's a quantum liquid, and they can pour it into your body, but it's not your body. It's a clone body, not drone, clone body. So you have your old body that's 40, 50 years old, right? By the time that you're out of the 20 and back program, they make a brand new body, but they take your soul, pour it back in, and then wipe your mind clean. Right? Your mind's kind of blown at this point. You're like, what the hell? So it kind of all comes full circle. Like I told you 2 different stories, but if you think about the soul as being a quantum liquid and you being able to manipulate it from body to body, then it really lends a lot of credence to these near-death experiences that Danny and Brinkley's talking about, where he's had these out-of-body experiences. You could have this soul come out of the body and watch yourself being operated on, or go to the next realm, or not go to the next realm and simply just travel around the earth and examine Egypt and examine, any mystery of the earth that you want to, because you can go anywhere once you're out of the body. The spirit realm, spirit capability can go anywhere. We're only limited by this physical 3D body. Just look at remote viewers, for example. So, to kind of bring this to a wrap up, and I know I'm not wrapping it up at this very moment, but I want to bring these 2 stories together, is that we have this story where Randy Kramer talks about the fact that the government is doing human trafficking, and people aren't really aware of that, and that's a big issue. One of the stories that referenced this same situation was it Michael Herrera, who was a Marine, in this most recent June 2023 disclosure project with Stephen Greer. He was one of the DAIS members, and he talked about his veteran military experience where he saw this craft, this black, circular but angular at the same time craft in, was it Peru, I want to say, and it was in 2008, and he saw people being what he thought was trafficked into this UFO. Wouldn't it be really interesting if those people that were being trafficked, I'm sorry, I think it was like it was Indonesia, sorry, not Peru, Indonesia. Wouldn't it be interesting if these Indonesian people who were suffering from all of this trauma from this recent tsunami, he believes they were ushering these people into the craft so that they could human traffic them. The people that were doing this were from America or had American accents. So, America is a superpower. America has the capability to do this. It's unfortunate. I wish they didn't have American accents, because I wish it wasn't our country doing it. But wouldn't it be interesting if they were human trafficking these people? They were going to put them in the 20 and back program to do basically whatever they need. It's not always high level captain of the ship type stuff like Randy Kramer was talking about. There's also Mr. Rodriguez, who was also on Gaia, and he talked about being on ships, just basically doing slave labor, moving supply chain from aircraft to aircraft, or location to location. Nothing that it was high level security or high level knowledge base to complete the task. You didn't have to have a degree, or you didn't have to have a PhD, or you didn't have to have specialized training. It's just slave labor movement. And he stated he got treated really poorly, not just by the humans that were involved in the project, but also by the aliens. In the same episode, he talked about how he was beaten by 2 different alien species simply because he was just a lower caste member, basically just doing, manual labor, and that he didn't have any rights. Basically, he signed his rights away. And he was forced into this, the Mars German project, which is basically the Mars Nazis project that we've talked about before. And I did a whole podcast on him. And so it's really interesting when you start hearing these stories where they confirm other stories, and then we put like I always say, we're putting these pieces of the puzzle together, and we're combining pieces of this story with this story to make up an entire understanding of UFO phenomenon, paranormal phenomenon, near-death experience phenomenon, quantum physics phenomenon, and it's all fascinating. I mean, if you're interested in aliens, if you're interested in UFOs, if you're interested in space, you also have to be interested in quantum physics, because that's going to explain a lot of things that are going on in space, and how these beings are able to travel, and how telepathy works, and how these beings are just a bit more advanced than we are. Remember, Randy Kramer even talked about the fact that some of these species, even though they have the capability to fly from their planet to another planet in like the blink of an eye, doesn't mean they're always so far advanced mentally. A lot of these species might just be, spiritually only maybe 100, 150 years advanced more than us. So it doesn't mean that they're, so spiritually advanced. They might just be a little bit more advanced in the realm of technology. I love this color. You can barely see it, but it's perfect. It's like a light lavender. It's just peeking in there. So anyway, how does this make you feel? What do you think about the fact that government may be doing some human trafficking, not paying people for their service to their Earth? I mean, imagine if a veteran, worked his entire, career and then didn't get compensation, didn't get the pension for after being in for 20 years. I mean, that would be shameful. I mean, there's a lot of shameful treatment of veterans, period. But, to not get a pension, to not get paid for what you did and what you went through. And it's not so much that they mind wiped you and everything's okay. You still have that memory within your soul. It's just masked. It's just like got a Band-Aid over it, so it doesn't have exposure. But once you take that Band-Aid off through hypnotic regression, everything comes out, and your world changes, and now you understand that you were taken advantage of, and you were, manipulated, and you didn't even get compensated for it. Not that always makes up for it, but geez, at least if you could live your life without having to, maybe you could use some of that money to afford therapy. Maybe you could use some of that money for other purposes, to take care of yourself for the rest of your life, to try to have some enjoyment maybe. These poor individuals that are taken into this 20 and back program, I believe it is real. I believe that there are people that are being taken and not being compensated for it. I mean, think about it. The most powerful power out there is the resource of human resources. There are some energy sources we've obtained from crashed ships, but that power only does so much, can only do so much. It's the capability to have manpower. Even if we think back to, ancient Egypt, the aliens used ancient Egyptians for free labor to mine gold, is the theory, right? So who's to say that we can't do the same thing? We're not doing the same thing with our own people. It's really, really sad. I hope it's not true, but the more I hear from different whistleblowers, the more it makes you wonder what's really going on, and it's not even that inconceivable understanding that we do have human trafficking here on Earth. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could have human trafficking out in space. And what does that do to you beyond this life? Does it make you wander around in this void forever? Do you get to go on into the next realm? And is the next realm monitored and managed and manipulated by reptilians already? Is the going into the light just another reincarnation so that they can gain more loose energy from us? lots of questions in this podcast. I really enjoy this one. There's lots more we could talk about, lots more we could get into. Um, I think that, as more and more whistleblowers come out, the more and more we're going to find out. It blows my mind that there, with certain whistleblowers, it seems like they're willing to push more or destroy their lives more, and with other whistleblowers, they're less likely to do that. And I look at the Disclosure Project that we just recently had, where they totally destroyed DC Long's life. He was a veteran of the Marines. He had his own construction company that worked for a Department of Defense contractor, and they went in and they just saw a few things floating. That's it, and they didn't sign off on the non-disclosure agreement. That's it. And so they basically went in and they stole all of his tools. They ruined his life. He was unemployed. He was homeless. He was living on the streets for 2 years. But meanwhile, you have an active duty military member, Michael Herrera, who was on duty in a humanitarian aspect in the Marines to help out the Indonesian people, and just happened across this UFO. Now, these people who were in the Black Ops threatened to kill him, but they didn't destroy his life. The experience might have, but he's been able to maintain, a decent professional life still. They didn't come in and ruin his entire career and life and lifestyle, livelihood. So it is interesting to look at this and to see who they target, why they target them, why do you show up on certain people's radars and not on others. It's really bizarre to me. But who knows? Maybe certain folks are more valuable to them than others. Anywho, just my thoughts. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself spiritually, physically, emotionally, following through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. This is what I enjoy to do, hobbies and goals, dreams-wise. I like to hang out with Mr. Bigfoot. I like to hang out with you guys. I like to paint. And I hope you guys find something that you can enjoy as well. Even through these busy lives that we lead, there's still time for you to take care of what you'd like to do for yourself as well. So anyway, keep working on those hobbies and goals and dreams, and continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. And Lockdown Universe out. Go like, follow, subscribe, share.